Those positions were held by Jim Allen and people like Alfred Correa. However, excuse me if you hear me pause now and then, simply because that Jim, George, Palmer, Tita Sarah, Winston Morgan, Leroy Morgan, and deceased Reverend Morgan, we all grew up in the same area in houses called the Alley. The Alley was famous for producing other cricketers, but not with any degree of competence. I recall that we played our cricket, especially in their yard. Mas Handsome, that's the father, would bring us the stumps made of balsam wood, and we would start our cricket in the mornings batting with coconut bats. Never knew that one day that we would have been able to represent Montserrat. Jim came after George. George and I, being older, and people like Edric Fry, represented Montserrat a couple of years before him. And I recall something that came to me a couple of days ago. Our head teacher at that school in Harris's was Daniel H. Bramble. For those who don't know, it's Harford Bramble's father. He was very instrumental in seeing us playing cricket. And I recall in 1972, when we played against Nevis at Sturt Park, to hear a voice at the bottom gate, "Those are my boys, those are my boys." He was referring to George, we call Shine, myself, Jim, and Edric Fry. 4 of us was on the field playing for Montserrat. Jim has created history in that being the first professional cricketer from this country, and has flown the flag from High Park to Sturt Park to Antigua Recreation Grounds to all the grounds in the Caribbean and further afield down under in Australia. A couple of weeks ago, when he took sick, I was called and I went up to check him out. And he hugged me and he said to me, before he said anything to me openly, he said, "What about the boys?" Meaning my brothers, Leroy and Winston. And I said, "They're okay." He held on to me and he said, "Morgie, I not do too well, you know. I not do too well." I broke down. And I said, "Hold the fort, Jimmos. Hold the fort." And that's what we call him, Jimmos, or some people call him Packer. When we were growing up, we used to call him Jim Brim and all these other things. But Jim has created history in many areas in cricket for this country. Imagine, as I was saying to the president took this right from a while ago, Jim's got a particular record. That's enviable. Never captained Montserrat, but he captained the Leeward Islands. Remarkable. He captained the Leeward Islands against Guyana in 1980 in a Geddes Grant 40-over side match alongside Roy Fredericks. We lost the match. I was there. I was one of the scorers. You know, so many things to say about Jim. As a historian, statistician, I checked back recently since his death and found out that Jim has scored 2,800 carrying Montserrat on his back. You know, there's some stories of him that I'll relate one. George, his older brother, they argued a lot about the game. In 1970, we were practicing for the Leeward Islands tournament. We called it the 22. And in Harris's on Friday nights and Saturday nights, usually be arguments and so on. Jim was never an aggressive person. George was the aggressor. And George said, I'll get you on your play batsman, you know. But you know no batsman. We go straight tomorrow. What me about? We went to Sturt Park. We had two captains, Bennett Roach and William Sugar Jubry. George was now bowling to Jim after Bennett's team lost a couple of wickets. And the first 4 balls that George bowled to Jim, they whistled to the boundary. I said, Lord, trouble out here today. The next ball, Storm's flying, you know. Storm's flying on the 5th ball. Me tell you that he can't bat. He stormed out a bit, George. Are you getting on your play, man? Me tell you he can't bat. Play was held up at Sturt Park for about 10 minutes. George followed him to the pavilion. Jim never uttered a word to him. He just kept looking back. Mark you, with all that aggression, the same George's brother was the one who guided him to his first 100 against St. Kitts, 1971. And I said one, but I'm going to talk about this one too, about Jim and George. 1971, at Sturt Park against St. Kitts, we made 281, and St. Kitts overnight was 279 for 9. Levi Weeks and Hicks and Dixon batting number 10 and number 11. George was asked to bowl the first over by Bennett Roach, a man I regard as the finest captain I've ever played with. And the second ball, Jim was the keeper. Storms fly again. Jim told us, oh God, shine, man, you pelt a one, man. You know, those are things that I remember about Jim. You know, he was special. You know, he was born to play cricket. You know, and sadly missed when I got the call of his death. I said, there's no more Jimmos. And one of the things that I admired of him when he was at one assistant place there, that whenever cricket is being played and he's watching it, I love to go to visit him that time. He behaved as if he's still playing, you know. He holding up, Margie, that's a bad shot, you know. Margie, should have played off the pass, man. Love cricket. My condolences to the family, his sister Sarah, his son Davon, and Jim's daughter, you know, an entire family, Palmer, the older brother, who's still alive, obviously, and other family members. We have lost a special person. And as my great friend Arrow said, raise your hand. Let us raise our hand and say, God bless Jim Allen. God bless, let me hear you. God bless Jim Allen. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you.